Kings. Let me see those hands again. Hang on now. Hey, everybody jump.
You're tuned to Off the Ball, the most petty and ill-informed sports programme on radio. The week in Scottish football. Memorable food for good and for bad. 1994. And you, the photo you'll never forget. I'm Stuart Cosgrove, he's Tam Cowan, and you're tuned to the odd couple of Scottish football. Well, if you were to plug inside the mind of Tannadice now, what would they be thinking? Last night's game, Dunfermline just run away with them, 3-0 up before Dundee United got back into the game. I thought Dunfermline were pretty damn good, but you know what? They don't like Jim Goodwin, do they?
No, last night and overnight, they were basically, a lot of the United fans say we need to get rid of Jim Goodwin now and bring somebody in who can get us out of this league. The Dundee United fans, understandably, do not fancy their chances if they end up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's like win the league or bust. And bust. Ask about the finances at the club if United had another season in the Championship. That was an absolute shocker last night. Fair play right away to Dunfermline. Again, it's the old thing. The headlines would, if you like, be about Dundee United and the position they find themselves in. They're still top of the table, but Stuart, you've got a theory that as much as Queen's Park have unquestionably improved under Callum Davidson, your old pal, Raith Rovers are away to Queen's Park today, but you're saying that if they don't pick up the points, they can forget it. You think there's a question of their bottle here for you?
You know what I'm going to say is that, there's been times when Raith Rovers could have literally put a boot to Dundee United's throat, and they've not really done it. And I have a wee bit of a worry about whether within the squad they want it enough. Now, that's a point of view. I'm not a Raith Rovers fan. I don't live in Kirkcaldy. I have no knowledge of the behind-the-scenes kind of team.
And you're not anti-Raith Rovers either.
No,
you're not
exactly.
saying this to have a go.
No, I mean, I over the years, I'd be quite happy for Raith Rovers to come up.
Right.
We've got a good
you
record.
think this is crucial? I mean, if Raith Rovers...
They have got an opportunity
to go top.
It's a wee bit like Rangers and Celtic in the Premiership.
Yep.
One of them drops points, the other has to seize the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right, well, listen, let's hear for the Dundee United fans. The Twitter, etc., does anybody call it X, was absolutely on fire last night with the United fans. I watched a full interview with Jim Goodwin with the club TV channel after the match as well. And again, as I say, fair play to Dunfermline, because of course you could see in the sidelines what it meant to James McPake, and they're still it's that fantastic league. There's so many of them still in with a chance to get into playoff positions.
Let me test you on this one. End of an era for Arbroath. I think we can now, they look down and they look as if that period of time when they were one of the most talked about teams in Scotland has gone, hasn't it?
When they were a kick or two of the ball away for playing in the top flight, you forget that, but you're right, it does only look like Arbroath appear to be doomed. I think Dundee are doomed as well, Stuart, because they're at home to Rangers tomorrow.
Right.
And I was hearing Philippe Clement talking the other night that Rangers didn't really have a chance against Benfica because of the difference in budget.
Oh, right, okay.
So I was looking at the difference in budget between Rangers and Dundee, and I think anything less than a 20-0 win for the visitors tomorrow, and that's maybe a sacking offence for Philippe.
I would have thought so, and it looks like England have snubbed Jack Butland.
you know what? Oh, welcome to Scotland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This kowtowing to an old firm goalkeeper. The bottom line is Jack Butland's a brilliant keeper. So it would follow that we don't want him anywhere near the England squad.
Exactly.
Rather than greeting our eyes out because he's been snubbed by Gareth Southgate. If he's an absolutely brilliant goalie, which I think he is, then no harm to the guy. But I don't want him between the sticks for England.
And,
Call me old-fashioned.
And it's good to see the Bulgarian FA respecting Scottish football by capping Dimitar Mitov of St Johnstone as their preferred goalie as well. So not all is doom and gloom for Scottish football.
Well, for Bulgarian it would appear, aye. Dearie me, it's not, I didn't think this would be the moment to draft in a St Johnstone goalie.
You never know. You never know. Now,
can I say as well, and I think we nailed this a long time ago, the last time ticket allocation came up. It's been a big story of the week. Equal allocation, split down the middle as things stand for the Hearts Rangers semi-final. But Aberdeen were denied an even split against Celtic based on the fact that the last time such an occasion arose, the Dons didn't take all their allocation. I still stand by the point, Stuart, that, and I think we had nailed it previously on this show, you just have a deadline. You make it a 50-50 split up to a point on the calendar, which still gives you plenty of time to hand over the tickets that are left to, quotes, one of the big clubs.
Well, one of the other things about it is I'm not a big fan of all of this kind of precedent because every game is different. The momentum, the feeling about it,
Absolutely.
and the idea of a cup run when you're struggling in the league can be what motivates.
Absolutely. And these games are
St
meant to
Johnstone average crowd was, I think, 2,800, and we took 17,000 to our cup final.
Exactly. 33,000 for Motherwell back in the day. 7 weeks later against Falkirk, I think the crowd was 5,800, right?
Yeah.
So we all know what happens, and, you don't need to, it's not as if they're the only form of glory hunters, Rangers and Celtic, of course, historically have had plenty of glory hunters, but what I would say about those ties is as well, Stuart, the games, semi-finals of a cup, they're meant to be an element of neutrality. But both semi-finals are being played in the home city of both Rangers and Celtic. So come on. But, I still agree. If Aberdeen can sell their tickets, absolutely, then Celtic deserve more. But you've got to start on a 50-50 basis. Surely to goodness.
You know what? It's getting trickier now because we're just about to see the split in the top league. The playoff debate in the other leagues are all kind of starting to sparkle as well. It's a great time, Scottish football. This is a great time in the season.
And a great day for Aberdeen fans. Going with my old theory, if ever you need a result,
who comes along?
You always play Motherwell next. So Aberdeen are down at Fir Park today. I'm looking forward to that. Alan Burrows will be back on home soil, if you like. And Aberdeen, we were all under the impression, were we not, that when the strange comings and goings, mainly goings last week with Neil Warnock, were we not meant to be thinking that an appointment was imminent?
Yes.
But we're a week on and still nothing.
Yeah, I think what they're doing now is they look as if they're doing what I think they should have done in the first place.
Due diligence.
Which is due diligence and also interviewing credible candidates.
Right. Jimmy Thelen, have you seen this name popping up?
Not only have I heard of Jimmy Thelen, we used to be neighbours in Perth.
Seriously?
No, that was
all right.
That was his mate Davy Thelen.
Right, all right. Jimmy Thelen, just a strange name for the world of football, but usual suspects, usual runners and riders are still in there. But Aberdeen, the league table does not look pretty at all.
Tam, I've done a volte-face, I think they used to call it.
An about turn.
Aye, in terms of my preferred media. My preferred media just now is your Instagram page when you seem to be gallivanting out in the town with famous faces from the world of Scottish football. I saw you out the other night with Tam McManus and the former legendary Scotland goalkeeper Alan Ruff. What were the circumstances of your sojourn?
Just me and Tam, we both enjoy a bet. Me and Tam are sending sensible enough, never even think about trying to get a ticket for Cheltenham because there's a crowd of about 6 million people go to it.
You don't want a batter with some of the women that go there.
Oh, aye, do you see that?
Aye.
You couldn't see a race, couldn't get served for a drink. So we'd pre-planned a wee day out on Tuesday. Big Ruffy's into his horses as well. So the three had a very pleasant day, albeit didn't back a winner. But yeah, that was it.
Yeah, did you see that fight? The women at
Yes, I
Cheltenham?
saw it, and I saw it. There was a lot
Leap
of fights
up
I
and
saw.
down and wave your knickers
Oh,
in the
dearie
air.
me, aye.
Oh, it was brutal, wasn't it?
That side to Cheltenham as well, which is not very bonny. But Alec Ferguson was in the winners. So
I
was,
saw that, yeah. I saw that,
wee
yeah.
Harry Redknapp as well.
Aye.
A few famous faces picked up. But it's a great event, the Cheltenham Festival. But I wouldn't, unless I was up there in the Royal Box, maybe, who knows, a replacement for Kate Middleton. I don't know. And then I wouldn't have been interested in going to. I say that about all the big meetings.
Yeah.
I was doing, as you know, week past and Friday at Ayr for my mate Jim's 60th, and that was perfect. You could move about, you could get served, no bother for a drink. But see all the Grand National, the Derby, Cheltenham, not remotely interested unless I was honest up there with the top hat and tails.
Well, you know what? I went once. I was not going to Cheltenham. I was going to a business meeting, I think somewhere, maybe in Bristol or Birmingham. And for some reason, people that were going to Cheltenham got on the train at Paddington, the west side of London.
Aye.
And
Carnage.
this crowd of posh guys dressed as Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yes, aye. All
And
that
it's one of these ones where,
Aye, I know.
where have I left
I know.
my machine gun?
The fun you could have.
I know.
But so listen, we're not necessarily talking about Cheltenham, although it was a huge sporting occasion and it's only just finished. But Dundee United, Jim Goodwin, top of the league, Wraith Rovers at
Just
Queen's
give
Park.
me the outcome. What is the outcome going to be?
Personally, just looking at the personnel, I do, and I think I said just on a human level, Stuart. When you look at Jim Goodwin's calendar year and a bit, you know what's happened to Jim Goodwin since Darvel, right?
Yeah.
It's not been pretty, and I think anybody with a heart could only wish him well. But I do think that Dundee United. Come good is too strong a phrase. I do think they might kind of stumble over the finishing line and win the league. But I'll tell you
Well,
what.
to balance this up, I think they've already announced to the world that they're a nervous bunch, and I think that if Wraith Rovers seize the opportunity, they could go top of the league, and then it would be theirs to lose.
Right, the other thing I would say is, Wraith Rovers, I think they've been my team of the season in that division, and they've been a delight to watch. The BBC have picked up quite a few of their games on a Friday, and they've been great. And on that note, I think maybe our producer can tell us, maybe I think 2-3 weeks we are away from Dundee United playing Wraith Rovers. Can't remember if it's at Starts Park or Tannadice. It's scheduled for Saturday at 3 o'clock, and we all know how Saturday at 3 o'clock is better for clubs, better for fans, better for hospitality, better for getting the crowd in. But there's a game crying out to be moved. I mean, joy of joys, the BBC picked up the 2 Scotland forthcoming friendlies. They were applauded for that because we're talking about getting Scotland games on free air telly. I'm sorry, but what looks as if it could be the championship decider. I'm a traditionalist. I know that 3 o'clock on a Saturday should be sacrosanct, even though those days have long since gone. But they've surely got to get that one in the telly.
Well, I tell you something else. Is there grounds for Dundee United and their supporters to pursue Motherwell through the Trades Description Act? You were telling us on this show only a month ago that Watt and Moult were going to storm that division.
Well, again, I saw Tony Watt. I think at his very best when he went through a real purple patch at Motherwell. And of course, I saw Louis Moult at his very best when he was pinging in goals at Hampden for 40 yards out against Rangers to take us into finals and stuff. So, yeah.
I saw them last night on the telly, and they were in the back pocket of Benedictus and a couple of others.
Yeah, but again, just because I know that class is in there somewhere.
Yeah, you think it'll come good?
I'm wondering if it, put it this way, if you'd say to me, Tam, I'm going to give you a large charity bet on who's going to win the championship, I would still put the money on Dundee United. But Wraith Rovers will have, I don't think, anyone to fear in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all the week in football. Give us your thoughts on that. Semi-final tickets. Jack Butland apparently snubbed by Southgate. Oh, Stuart, one other wee thing.
Yeah.
4 goalkeepers listed by Stevie Clark. I know you always like a bit of Scotland chat.
Yeah.
3 strikers.
Yeah.
Sometimes seems we're bereft. Like we don't have. We obviously knew the headlines were going to be, well, Lawrence Shankland get in there because we've got Lyndon Dykes, we've got Shea Adams, but nobody else quoted. So we've got 3 strikers now. 5 in total have to drop out.
Yeah.
At the risk of giving you a sore head trying to do all the permutations, one of those goalies is going to drop out. Right now, we've got Angus Gunn, we've got Liam Kelly, we've got Craig Gordon, and we've got Xander Clark. How do you think it's going to pan out?
Well, I think the thing about it is that Clark's playing a wait-and-see game, because one of the things I actually like about him is that he's loyal to his squad players, and I think that what he's looking to do is to say, well, good few weeks to go yet. There could be yet another injury we don't know about that might determine the outcome of that.
Yeah.
But furthermore, he could be in a situation saying, well, it's all down to club form. If Craig Gordon can't oust Xander Clark for the Hearts first team, he's relying on the odd cup game to prove his worth. Set against that, Liam Kelly has not maybe had his best season, but there's a good chunk of the season yet to play.
To be fair to Liam, he was getting panned for a long time there, but I think he's really come back to top form in the last couple of weeks. But the other thing is, if you're saying then that Craig Gordon has got to oust Xander Clark, right, and they're both obviously at Hearts, so that would be then the list that Craig Gordon is beneath Xander Clark, right? So in that list, in terms of getting rid of one, who's above Xander in the list? Only Angus Gunn for you.
Yes, beneath them, in as much as he's not the first team goalkeeper of
that's what I
Midlothian.
mean.
That's the only reason. Do I think that historically Craig Gordon's a better keeper? Yes, I do. I've got a lot of respect for Xander because brought up through the St Johnstone Academy. But all of that aside, I think Craig Gordon has been a standout keeper for Scotland. But he's coming back from, we all thought, a life-threatening, rather a career-threatening injury.
Yeah.
And he's come back, and good on him. And it would be great if he made it. But I think Gunn's the number one keeper. But when I talked about an injury, it could be an injury to get Angus Gunn.
Yeah, I know. Right, well, listen, give us all your thoughts on that, because there will be players have to drop out. And we're also talking with our guest today. Now, we've got Nathan Evans. Well, since we had Nathan on, best known, of course, for the sea shanties, but he's got a brand new, completely different style of music on a new album. And it is called 1994.
Wow. We
will let Nathan, who was a brilliant guest last time round, plug the knickers off of that. But we're talking about 1994 and you. Now, Nathan is called it 1994. We believe that is the year he was born. 1994 and you. Give us, what was the big thing in your life that year? What happened to you? What are the memories you have of 1994? I'll start with 2 of mine and they relate to the show, Stuart. First up, 1994 was indeed the start. It's our 30th birthday this year of a programme called Off the Ball, hosted by Greg Hemphill, starring Sanjeev Kohli. Where are they now?
Well, real talent.
And me next to Sanjeev at the desk, right? So I was the only one of the 3 of us that didn't go into still game and selling out the hydro twice, etc. Right? But 1994, big year then.
How is your brand of whiskey selling?
1994, big year then. That was the start of Off the Ball. And again, almost as a word that I hate, a portent. Portent, as a portent.
A portent of a signal of that which is to come.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I used it properly. Thank you, but I don't like the word. But anyway, 1994 was the first time live I clapped eyes on you.
Yes.
And again, almost exactly a year later, we would be the co-hosts of this very show. You were. It was the last game of the season. Motherwell against St Johnstone. It was a sore one for you. Remind me what happened.
Well, we played Motherwell away at Fir Park. Won the game. It was a 1-0 victory for St Johnstone.
Yep.
A goal scored by John Ingalls. I remember the goal vividly. It was at the away end. Scored the goal. Big celebrations. But then it was one of these kind of transistor radio moments because Hibernian, who were equal to us in the league, were winning at Easter Road. Their victory put us down, even though we had won the game, the last game of the season. And it was the end of an era in a lot of ways because, as you know, by going down, effectively your squad is cleared, either because players don't want to go down on reduced wages, or alternatively they've got other options. And pretty much the career, a lot of our players went that day.
Yeah, but 1994, and then what I remember is you and a kind of posse of St Johnstone fans coming round, walking past, if you like, the Davy Cooper stand, approaching the Fir Park Social Club, now Club 100. And what I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here, because yes, as I'd seen you on TV and telly studios wearing shades indoors, you had your shades on this day as well.
It was a hot day.
But perfectly acceptable because it was May and the sun was shining. So I'll let you off. But yeah, 1994. And then a personal note, I was still working with the Evening Times, which again was instrumental in getting me a wee invite in to do this Off the Ball show with Greg and Sanjeev. 1994, where were you? What were you up to?
Well, I began a career at Channel 4. I was a commissioning editor at Channel 4, but I do vividly remember you've reminded me of an incident when you talked about my shades. I was in a bar in central Glasgow and I bumped into a group of journalists, all of whom worked at the Herald.
Right.
And one of them was quite a kind of, at the time, seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth now, but she was quite a big columnist at the Herald of the early days of the kind of feminist writing within the Herald. And we were standing at the bar and I was wearing the aforementioned shades.
Yes.
And she said to me, I don't like people that wear sunglasses indoors, which is not an uncommon response. And I said, yeah, but the thing is, for me, I've got an inoperable eye condition, which means I have to wear the shades or I would go blind.
See her shrinking.
She just bottled it right there and then. She should have just said, I don't care if you go blind or not, you look a dick.
Exactly.
Right? But she didn't. She actually bottled it.
Can you remember who it was?
I thought her name was Jane or something. I can't remember.
Right, somebody might have a stab at that. Any of the broadsheet readers out there. So 1994 and you. 1994 being the title of Nathan Evans' The Difficult second album. We can talk about that. Now, we're also talking...
I tell you, the difficult second album, I want to go back to the first one, The Con Man. None of his new album are sea shanties.
I know.
Does that know what was boring the world about the last time?
You can tell us. I liked that. That was a great wee catchy tune, that one. I loved it. But, you know, he's got to broaden his horizons. He doesn't want to pigeonhole himself.
Yeah.
Good on him. Good on him. And for a guy that come in, you know, working in the post office, good Airdrie boy as well.
Well, he's free Airdrie, works in the post office.
He did work in the post
stole
office.
sea shanties for the people of Stonehaven and Fraserburgh and all those people that genuinely sang sea shanties.
Are you saying
another Lanarkshire con man?
Are you saying that postal workers are thieves?
I know that for a verifiable fact.
Right, there we go. Now, we're also talking about memorable food, good and bad, because I hope some of you have seen this show on the BBC Scotland channel, Eat the Town. As a restaurant reviewer of 22 years myself, it's the sort of show I tapped into. Darren Dowling and Natalie Erskine present the show, and it's just a nice, fun, fast-paced show. The two of them love their grub, even though there's no a pick on either of them. But they basically go around about the towns in Scotland and they eat the town. They set each other wee challenges. They have breakfast, lunch, dinner. They try to find some different places. It's basically good fun. So we're asking you, and we'll start with them, with Darren and Natalie, about memorable food, good or bad. Good or bad. And Stuart, you had a bad experience very recently.
Yeah,
and it
because
sounds like a costly
Well, it
experience.
set me back quite a few yen, shall I say that. Wee man had been watching one of his cartoons and had become obsessed with l'escargot. So he said, I want to go and try escargot. I want to try escargot. And eventually I managed to look around all the restaurants in town. There was one down in the restaurant row around St Vincent Place
Right.
that did
Yes,
escargot.
I know the restaurant.
And I went there, right in very beautiful downstairs environment, and sure enough, ordered it. He turned up. I mean, I'd prepared him, but he turned up with some wee pins in a little kind of
Right, well prepared.
Yeah, well prepared, and he ate the first one, found it really chewy, and says, I don't like
Right,
escargot.
want a burger or something?
Aye, and there's me
right.
40 knickers
Yeah.
down.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's a lesson to be learned, aye.
Yeah.
And remember as well, with the snails, never put salt on them in a restaurant. They just
No.
disappear. You'll know that for any front or back pavement in
There's
your
a
garden.
very interesting debate, though. The waitress said the chef wants you to know that we don't cook them in the shells. So when they arrived, they were on a plate with a
Easy to eat,
little sauce.
yeah.
Very easy to eat, but it was just the interior.
Yeah, right, there we go. I remember one strange stuff. Now, a thing I would never have gone near, but there was one night we were in a hotel we'd been to a few times out in Tenerife, the Anthelia Iberostar. Costa Deca. There'll be a few folk tuned in who've been to there. Very popular with folk from Scotland. Cracking hotel. Huge restaurant. Can take something like 630 people at a time. You get in there and they've got all the different stations making pasta in front of you, pizzas, doing steaks and lovely fresh fish on the big kind of griddle, you know. But they always had a big kind of a roast, Stuart.
Yes.
And that was very popular
All right.
as well. And you would look up and they'd a big massive, like half a coo or something, or a big giant turkey or something, you know, and you'd stand up there with your plate and you'd get slices of that. One night I noticed the big roast of the evening was hugely unpopular. And I looked up and from where we were sitting, I couldn't make out quite what it was. I says, why is nobody going for that tonight? And it soon became apparent because as much as it's not even a delicacy out there, it's sort of,
Yeah.
it's you know, common food out there. But when I went up to see it, what it was, and it was just sitting there on the counter, if you like, it was a full octopus. And oh dearie me, now you're saying as if you would quite fancy a bit of it, aye?
Not the full one, but,
No, but
shavings thereof.
Well, all you'd get up in a chef there, he would have cut you
Yeah.
slices. Do you want a tentacle? There we go,
Yeah.
have a. And the very idea,
Yeah.
no wonder that, you know, a lot of Scots here and that, they were not going near octopus. And this was at the same time as well. I don't know if you remember a story. There was a story and it was in Japan, I think. And somebody, because they were eating, it was sushi gone too far. They were eating live baby octopus in
Yeah.
a restaurant. And there was a guy, a diner, died. He ate a
And got
live
it
octopus.
stuck in his
And with the
throat.
tentacles and that, the suckers, the baby octopus,
Yeah.
it basically clung onto the guy's throat when it was halfway down his thrapple.
Yeah.
And the guy choked and died, you know. So I'm afraid octopus for me. I also tried. Here was one for back in the day. I think we were talking about this at the time of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here years ago. But you remind me saying to you that when I was young, I did try ostrich penis.
Yeah.
And it was a cruel trick played on me by Bernie Clifton.
Would you like
You need to be a certain age to get that one.
would you like to have been a victim of a comedy roast?
They're great. I'm a huge fan of them. The Americans do them very, very well.
Yeah.
I've seen them guys getting roasted like William Shatner,
Mike Tyson, I saw him.
Mike Tyson. Would you call her Roseanne Barr?
Yeah.
All of them on
Aye.
Comedy Central, and they're absolutely brilliant. They've tried. They kind of, well, no, it disappointed me. They tried a version of that, the celebrity ones, on British telly, and one of the guys that they put up was Bruce Forsyth.
Yeah.
And not one person, he'd clearly put it in his contract, made a joke about his hair
Yeah.
or the lack of his hair.
Yeah.
Right, it was a given that, you
Yeah.
know, if it's a
Yeah.
roast, that's what you
Yeah.
do. And I thought, nah, this isn't as good.
I think the flaw there really is you don't put up people who are like iconic in the sense that I bet you a lot of those comedians didn't feel they could really get stuck in.
Oh, aye. With some folk, like the American ones, lo and behold, the folk who sit in a chair and take the pasting, they've all... A lot of them have been flawed characters, shall we say. Tyson being a good example.
See,
of course.
I don't think that you would feel comfortable about a comedy roast featuring Sir Lenny Henry.
Wow. Did anybody see Comic Relief last night? Oh, the Lenny Henry show. That's what it was all about. And I cannot... in the million to one chance that Davina McCall is listening to Off the Ball right now. Davina, what were you thinking of? At one point, you looked straight down the camera last night and said, and remember, tonight is all about Sir Lenny.
Yeah.
And I thought, is tonight not all about the charity? Is tonight not about texting
Starving
in
children.
a fiver, helping folk who really need it? But oh dear, it was awful. It was terrible.
Happy birthday to Jean Carn today. Jean Carn, probably one of the greatest Philadelphia soul singers of all time.
Anything with Kim Carn?
Eh?
Kim Carn.
No, nothing to do with her. This is Jean Carn, Philadelphia soul singer.
Carne.
Correct, yeah. Brilliant singer. And in lots of ways, not someone that gets a lot of primetime TV,
right?
But she's a great soul singer. Why they gave Lenny Henry an opportunity to pretend he was
because
a soul
he'd have asked for it, that's why.
Aye, yeah.
Right, I'm bowing out, so here's what I want to do. I want to finish with 2 songs. I want you to put all the clips of me together. You think, Lenny, it's meant to be about the charity.
Aye.
I don't care. Yeah. Sir Lenny to you, by the way. Oh, it was horrendous last night, but that line for Davina McCall, I get the feeling, I hope that even the minute she said it, she thought, oh, what have I just said?
Yeah.
Sounded awful, you know. But anyway, memorable food, good or bad, what have you tried? What's made you sick? What have you absolutely loved? And can anybody out there help me, because I've got an aversion to it? Is there any restaurant in the land that has got a truffle-free menu?
Wow.
Truffle oil with everything now. You know, maybe no in Witherspoons. I'll give them at their due, right? But
you know,
any semi-decent restaurant you get into now.
You say that, but I've also Jacques restaurants.
Yeah. Here's your, is this a pitch for a Sunday broadsheet column?
It is,
A
yeah.
strip column, Jacques.
And what I would like to point out to is the amount of restaurants that offer you salted caramel.
Oh,
something.
salted caramel,
And you
everything.
think, oh, just shut up.
I got, as an experiment, she actually said it was very nice. My wee lassie likes salted caramel ice cream. A salted caramel Twix. There's a new one.
You know what? Here's the thing. Utterly disappointed a half day for me. I was going home and I have to chuck them under a bus here. It was the Nisa shop in Renfrew Street in town. I went in and there was Twixes along with all the other top brands of chocolate. And I just clutched a Twix, put it in my bag. And when I checked out and come home, it was the salted caramel one. I nearly threw up for Scotland.
You know what? They're very salty. But anyway,
so here's the other thing. Here's my dream. I wouldn't mind somebody preparing this for me.
Right, okay.
And it's in the spirit of our show today, and indeed Natalie and Darren. And it's to do with the town of Forfar.
Okay.
Famous for the bridie.
Yes.
Right? What I would love to do, as I'm a big fan of Thai food, I would love to see a Thai prepared bridie.
Okay, Thai prepared
with just Thai seasonings and
right,
things like
well,
that.
I'll set out the challenge because that was one such review I did back in the day. Sadler's. Hello to Sadler's in Forfar. And it was myself and Billy Sloan.
Yep.
Billy's on tonight, 10 o'clock. There's always a chance to plug his show. But Billy's on tonight, 10 o'clock, with Eric Cantona. Eric Cantona.
So in Forfar or on his show?
No, on his show,
on his
right.
show,
Wow,
right,
he's got Eric Cantona on the night. But the... so me and Billy went up to Forfar for a wee review, and because I never really planned these things, I just landed in a town or a city and said, right, what's good for eating? We saw this beautiful bakery, brilliant window display, the big giant Forfar bridies in the window,
wow,
and then the wee old-fashioned cafe through the back. It was cheap as chips, quite literally. We went through, I think we had both in a bowl of right good homemade soup, and then we had a big giant Forfar bridie with beans, couple of cans of Coke or whatever, and it was washers. It was like 17 quid for the works, right? But that Forfar Bridie was superb.
Yeah.
So in the off chance, and we met the baker, we met one of the Sadler chaps who was responsible for them bringing out fresh batches for the oven on the premises. That's got to be an easy thing. In the era of kebab pies and chicken curry pies and everything, a Thai
Bridie.
Forfar Bridie.
Yeah.
There we go. There's a challenge for if any of the Bridie makers throughout the land can help us out there, give us a shout. So, memorable foods, good or bad, we better crack on, look at the time. One other thing we're talking about, then I'll give you the team of the week, is the photo you will never forget. And again, photography, Photoshops. There's been so much in the news this week because of the Royal story.